Hi, Kay. We'll get started here in a minute with our guest while everyone's kind of getting on here. It's nice to see you all. I can't wait to talk. Oh, hello, Netherlands. Fantastic. We've got at least 3 countries represented now. Netherlands, and United States and England. And Australia, evening at 6 a.m. Definitely call that morning, right? All right. And Canada, all right. We will not blame Canada, as the song goes. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Eva. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good, and I'm so excited to have this conversation with you again without glitches.
No glitches.
No glitches, because I figured out what the problem was, and I fixed it.
Wait, really? What was the problem?
My phone.
Oh.
It was my phone. So, new phone, no problem.
New phone, new me.
No. Yeah, that's right. That's right. New phone, who it is.
How have you been?
I've been doing all right. How about you?
I've been doing good, actually. Yeah. I kind of got to the point in quarantine where I was like, okay.
Yeah, like acceptance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, acceptance and not trying to waste energy worrying about the future. I'm going to worry about right now.
Mm-hmm. That is a good philosophy.
Yeah.
Because we can't control that, and it can take up so much bandwidth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's get into that. I'm Dr. Lisa Hurwitz. I am a clinical psychologist, and I, as Dr. Drama, talk about lecture, interview, consult about the intersection of psychology and theater. And my return guest today, I think you're my first return guest. I'm so happy to have you back, because one conversation with you was not enough, because I know this is, talking about mental health is something that's really important to you. So my guest today is Eva Noblezada, recently in intermission from Hadestown, also known for Miss Saigon and for your cabaret work as well. Yeah, right? Because you are fantastic, with a band and a mic and a stage. Yeah.
I do love a band, mic, and a stage.
Yes. Oh, and of your podcast. We got to talk about that too.
I appreciate that.
Because I am an instant fan. I started listening to episode 1. I was like, I love this. So Eva Noblezada, welcome back.
Thank you for having me back.
My pleasure, really. Yeah. So let's talk about that. So you about, kind of getting to a point where you're like, okay, I can't worry about the future.
Yeah.
Was it just an evolution, or was it something in particular that got you to that point?
I think it was just an evolution. The way that I grow is if, I allow myself to carry so much stuff, and I end up being in a funk for a few days.
Yeah.
And when that's repeated and continuous, I find that it really annoys me, and it really gets me out of my groove. So I have to just pinpoint okay, what can I control and what can't I control? And of course there are things that ongoing struggle with things that I go to therapy for that I can control most of the time, but then I can't control if my job comes back. So then I have to say a spiritual bye-bye, and then worry about taking care of myself in the present and not staying still and baiting my breath to wait for someone to say, okay, Hadestown's back, everyone.
Right.
I just feel like it's not for me, I need to be doing things that make me feel productive, make me feel successful. And that I realized I must be leaning too much on the big show that got me this next break in my life. I can be successful on my own.
Is that what led you to creating the podcast, the Amarillo project?
Totally did. I think I was just needing to talk and cultivate conversation with people. And then I realized I'm probably not going to go back to work anytime soon. It's time to bring matters in my own hands. So that's a great thing for me to do. I've been very, very grateful to have had the stuff to do it as well.
Well, what I love about it is that you bring your voice to it, like you do to everything, and so it's not like the voice that you have on your podcast. It feels very real and authentic, and I think people really relate to that.
Good. That's kind of the goal. I really was I have such amazing conversations with the people in my life that I just love and would do anything for. So I might as well just share that.
Yeah.
Make it a little more I guess topic specific when I talk to certain people. So it's also like selfishly, like it gives something to me as well. And I always make sure that I like catch up with the guests and like, how was that? And they're like, that was actually really nice. Like it was nice to talk about things that I haven't talked about in a while. And it's just a really nice, magical exchange. So thank you. I appreciate the support.
Yeah. And people are saying in the thread that they love the podcast too. So
Thanks.
people are listening. I was really curious about the art for the, where did that come from? It's so beautiful and evocative.
Isn't it so stunning? I follow this girl on Instagram, Coco the Moon, and I've been following her stuff, and I just was like, okay, maybe she does commissions. So I DM'd her, and she's based in the UK, and I just was like, she was so collaborative, and she was so kind, and she's doing some more work for me in the near future for other stuff for season 1, but her work is so beautiful. Everyone should go check out her page. Her name's Coco the Moon. Stunning work, and she's so kind as well.
Oh, that's amazing. A kind and amazing artist.
Exactly.
It's a good combination. People are saying somebody just another theater lover saying the art is wonderful, isn't it?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's incredible. I'm glad that
I'm gonna check her out.
I was able to work with her.
Yeah. So what have you been doing to keep your body and your mind healthy, where we don't know what the future is right now. We just have the present.
I've just been really trying to listen. I mean, to my body, especially because I've just my relationship with food just goes up and down. Like it really does. I was trying to, like, when I first started quarantine after the first initial hump of like sadness and grief, I was like, okay, time to get my body in shape. I'm gonna do keto. And then like that lasted for like 2 weeks, and then I was like, and then I was like, okay, I should go vegan again, or I should just do smoothies all day. And then I was like, you know what? F all that. I'm just gonna just intuitively eat. Like if I want a glass of wine or 4, I'm gonna have 4 glasses of wine. If I want a spinach salad and 2 French fries, I can have it. Like I don't know. Quarantine's just kind of reminded me of I guess that I'm just totally responsible for how my body feels. So if I can like break the cycle and do something about it and add like a really healthy new part to make the cycle work even better, then I don't know. I just feel like that's been helpful. Not like restricting myself.
What cycle do you mean?
Like if I eat something or if I'm hungry, I get into the cycle of, well, if you eat, you're going to gain weight. And if you gain weight, you're going to be unhappy. And you're already unhappy rather than, okay, let's either scrap that cycle or create a new one. My body's hungry. It needs food. It needs fuel. I enjoy this food. I like eating healthy foods. I like having alcohol. I like having a piece of cake every once in a while. And what else makes me happy? Moving my body a little bit. Maybe forcing myself to look in the mirror and say, okay, there she is, little by little, to chip away that old idea that I have of myself, which is difficult. I had to sign up for rapid transformational therapy, which has been going amazing.
That's great.
My coach, his name is Charles West, and he has a page on Instagram called Divine Spark Coaching. And he's just really helped me, I guess, create a new type of conversation to have with myself, inwardly and outwardly. So it's been really interesting, very challenging. Oh my God, very interesting.
It's it's so much about the conversations that we have with ourselves, right? Because we have consciousness and we have awareness of consciousness, and because we have those 2 levels of consciousness, we're constantly having conversations with ourselves, and those conversations can direct how we feel about our bodies, our sexuality, our value in the world, right? And that those dialogues are so important. Yeah,
they really are. So I'm grateful that it's nice to have somebody like question why are you, and then I realize like there's no root. It's just a floating thought that's been there.
Yeah.
So let's just get all the cluster stuff out of my head and start adding new thoughts that are healthy, that make me feel good about myself. So it's been very challenging, and it takes a lot of energy to be extremely aware and to go through like transformation whilst under this like looming pandemic.
Right.
Extra weight. But it's definitely helped me, I guess, like when I start getting into a funk and I start feeling myself close down and like try to like, I always feel like when I get anxious and I close down, I like want to like become a piece of furniture and just like, so it's helped me become aware of that and kind of like soothe that subconscious of Eva and go, hey, I know you feel like that, but let's just come where we need to be. Let's be a little more present, which has been very helpful for me not to get into like depressive moods that last a long time.
Yeah. It's, you know, I'm going to say this with the caveat that with full respect that having children is it's not for everybody, and it is not the only way to personal growth. For me, this is what it was for me, that it taught me a lot of things about myself. And one of them, funny enough, was actually more self-acceptance about my body. So like a lot of people, I have two kids, like, you know, like, and I grew them, like, so like a lot of people who've had, you know, kids, like your body changes. And so like I put on a bathing suit and I have a pooch. And at first I was like trying to hide the pooch and, you know, and like trying not to show the pooch. And then I don't know, it was like an epiphany. I was just like, why the fuck do I care? Like this body grew humans. Like I have a pooch. Like if someone's going to judge me for that, it grew humans. And like, there's many amazing things our bodies do, including allow us to survive, right? And transport our beings, and having gratitude for that and appreciation that its value is not in its shape. Its value, even though that's what we're taught by society, its value is in what it does for my being, and what my being can then do for myself and other people and for the world, right? So it grew two humans, and that created a pooch. You know, yay. It's proof they were there.
Yeah, I love, it does shock me sometimes that I forget the extent of how fucking miraculous the human body is. Like, if I like, when like fall on the floor and scrape my arm, like I have pole burn on my arm and I've had bruises from whatever, it heals in like days.
Yeah.
And like, the fact that like, I know it's gross, but like women's bodies go through these cycles, and I'm just like, okay, what if I were to trick myself and just go on this cycle consciously with it and be aware that, yes, why am I feeling this? Oh, because I'm on my period, or because I ate something that, you know, I'm slightly allergic to, rather than constantly talking to myself with criticism. But that's so special. I love that's your experience.
Yeah. And you were just saying about cycles, about women's cycles, and that, you know, I think you said, like, I know it's gross, but, you know, like to just go with it. But is it gross?
Well, I've been trying to use a cup, so for me it's a little gross. I'm getting used to like changing my, you know, just to be more, you know, economically helpful. But I gave in the other night. I was like, I just can't. I gotta go to Marie to get some tampons because it hurts. So I'm just like, for me, I'm just trying to find a new way to like ease my body into the next chapter of, I guess, womanhood. It's just, I don't know. Like, I retweeted this image. It was like what women's period pains feels like, and it's like the first one's like red around the stomach, and the second one's like a little more red, and the third one's like all the body parts are like taken off. And it's just, like, oh.
It is a lot our bodies go through.
It is a lot.
I always think, you know, I have two daughters, so it's something I have to think about, you know, and I see teen girls, like the how we talk to young girls about periods, you know, and like, so even I've changed the language about like that it's bleeding, and then I call it shedding. Because I think, right, because for kids, that's scary. They're like, bleeding? Like, no, it's okay. It's shedding. It's basically, you know, it's like it's shedding a bed, you know, this beautiful.
It's just a cocoon.
It's just a cocoon, yeah. But it is, I mean, then there's all this also, you know, politics around periods, right?
Yeah.
How period products are taxed.
Gone there.
I know. Yep. That, you know, how that it's not, you know, it's not available to female prisoners. It's just a whole thing. We have some comments here. Alex G said, hi, I'm also a therapist who loves Broadway, so I really appreciate the series, as well as how open you are about mental health, Eva. I know, isn't it great? What do you think about that, about, you know, openness and why that's important, and kind of how the state of Broadway and talking about mental health?
I mean, here's the thing. I know this might not sit well with people, so I'll do my best to explain it in a way that's people can be sympathetic with this. But I work on Broadway. It doesn't mean that it's my life. In fact, I don't want it to be my life. I don't, it's a part of me. It's not in my circle, if that makes any sense. Like, it's an extension of me, I should say. It's not like I don't wake up and go, Broadway, that's tires me just thinking about it. But I will say that when you go to work, and sometimes you got to put all of those issues that you're having aside and get the job done. And sometimes that means that there isn't a space to talk about things that you're struggling with at work. I'm lucky that I've met people in the industry who are totally down to having conversation. If anything, it helps us acknowledge it, say, you're small, this problem is tiny, go away, and then we move on.
Yeah.
But I wish that it was more not seen still as a taboo subject, and I wish that people who openly talk about it weren't looked down as like, oh, they're over emotional, they're the C word, which is crazy. I hate that word.
Yeah.
And that they're not going to be able to handle a workload. It's like, no, I'm actually just also a human who's living a life, and this is my job.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's all. That's what we all are, just humans doing our jobs. I think, I don't know, there's this pedestal and there's this ideal of perfectionism, you know, and I hope that one of the advantages of social media is that it helps pull down that pedestal.
I think it is. I think it's starting to.
I think you're using it that way, as are many others. And I think that's so powerful, right? Because I think a lot of people will look up to the stage and say, you are perfect, you are what I want to be. And none of us are perfect. And so, right, it's good to look up to someone, but not for being perfect, for being human.
If perfection meant exception, then I think I would like to strive for perfection. Because I want to constantly be in a place in my life where I'm acknowledging what it used to be, what I used to be, acknowledging this right now, and wanting to reach for something higher. That's kind of like where I constantly want to be, and I don't know. I like that feeling. I'm a little obsessed with that feeling of like keep going, like exponentially.
Yeah.
And if I feel like right now, like in the words of Miss Persephone herself, like we all feel kind of stuck in a rut. But I like the idea that anybody can create magic in the form of a positive thing, a positive feeling. Like even if I'm feeling like crap, I feel like shit the other day, like crying about everything in the world. And I was like, if I read something, I will feel better. So I just forced myself to open, like, it was literally like I don't want to sit in this feeling anymore. And I immediately was like, okay, that to me is like a true example of self-care. It's like, sometimes you have to really look down on yourself and say, you've been sitting in the mud for an hour now, it's time to get up.
Yep. Yeah. So, sometimes it does mean that, like, to push yourself to keep moving.
Totally.
Eva, how is your dog?
Clinton! He's so deaf.
Is he really literally deaf?
He is he's more blind than he is deaf, I think. However, there have been times where I've like yelling, Clinton, and he won't come, but he's actually quite blind. Like if I open the door to our front building after I take him for a walk, he'll like excitedly jump, and most of the time he actually hits the door. Or when I'm opening the door with my keys, he'll jump into the door and say dunk, and I'm like, ay. There's nothing I can do. It is sweet though. He stares at, if you'll hear his little claws, and then you won't hear anything, and you'll go find him, and he'll like be this close to a chair like this.
It's very endearing.
I say that he's chasing ghosts.
I think when we spoke last, you had a foster. Do I remember this correctly?
Yeah.
And it didn't work out because of allergies.
With allergies, yeah.
Yeah.
I was starting to get back into singing, and I was like, oh my God, like my breathing went down to 80%. But now that like this is so slowed down, and I'm just like being so chill. Here he is. I'll show him to you.
Let's say, hi, sweet Clinton.
Yes, he's such a good boy.
Oh, good boy.
He's so sweet.
Has he had an impact on your mental wellness?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love dogs, and it helps me actually. Sometimes I feel like my brain works that if I'm bored, or I get not empty, but I guess bored is a good thing, and I want something to do, or I want to feel productive, and triggering thought comes along, my body is so used to being in that mode of feeling anxious about certain things that it attaches to it quickly and says, this is right. This is the correct connection. So it's just those are random thoughts floating in my head, and I don't like wasting my energy on that. So caring for a dog that actually really needs me there, like us there, it's been a really great way for me to notice when that mood comes on. Go, oh, see, I don't have to give that attention. I actually have something else. I have something else better to do. So Sally can sit in the back.
See ya. Yep. Bye.
See you later.
Well, they are so great because they're so present, right? And so their dogs are good for anxiety for multiple reasons. One is that physiologically, we release oxytocin when we when we cuddle with our dogs. So it feels good. But then, like you said, like they're so present, and they're present right here, right now. Yeah. And anxiety is like the thought cloud above your head, and being with your dog brings you right back into yourself instead of in this thought cloud floating over here. Dogs are the best.
I do. I love dogs, and I love being able to foster through this program because they make it so easy, and they make it just so accessible for everybody. So very grateful for Muddy Paws. Muddy
Paws Rescue. They're so wonderful. Muddy Paws is awesome. Somebody's saying my dog is sleeping next to me right now. Yay for dogs. Somebody asked a question. What's your favorite Filipino food?
Oh my God, not balut.
That's what it's not.
I once tried to take a bite and everyone was like freaking out. They're like, oh, you ate it. And then like I kept it in my mouth for like 10 minutes because I didn't know how to, it was so disgusting. I was like, I can't even spit it out. I would say adobo. Chicken adobo. Because if I have pork, it's not a nice picture. But chicken adobo. And rice. Nice. Chicken adobo and rice.
Nice. I was just watching. Have you watched that show, Taste the Nation, the Padma?
No, but I've seen the artwork for it, and it always makes you so hungry. So I was like, I'd like to watch it.
It's so good. It's interesting having a female woman of color Asian American, woman hosting a show about culture and food, because all these shows have been hosted by white men. Yeah. Right? and I guess she had a hard time getting a network to pick it up because they're like, well, that's been done before. Yes, through one perspective. Anyway, It's so good. And there was this whole episode about the Gullah Geechee people of our damn education system. I never knew about them until this.
Yeah, our education system is definitely extremely failed.
yeah, an extremely white supremacist.
Yeah. Hello.
So the Gullah Geechee, I'm gonna get some of this wrong. Basically, people in this region of the South, and all of the dishes are rice based. And
my God!
I highly recommend that series. But that episode was so good.
I love rice. I get rice on both my Filipino and my Mexican side. So rice.
Yes,
rice is the best.
Double dip. Let's see. Where can I listen to the podcast is a question.
Oh, you can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcast and on Spotify. And it's coming to Audible soon, but Amazon just takes a long time.
Oh, do they? Wait, somebody's correcting me here. Somebody's saying, Curly Poo saying Geechee, the Gula Island family was Geechee. I don't know the distinction. I've been doing some reading, but tell me the distinction, Curly Poo, if you are interested in sharing that. People are asking about a black Eurydice.
Yeah, I saw that question. That was really annoying. Why would it be annoying to have a black Eurydice? It doesn't matter what color her skin.
Did someone say it would be annoying?
Well, they said, would it be weird to have a black Eurydice? We've had many black Eurydices, and they're exceptional. Just because I'm the lead Eurydice, it doesn't mean that I'm better than Kayla or better than anyone else. And in fact, just me saying that makes me sick because Kayla's my sister. But the off-Broadway Eurydice was black, and she was stunning. She looked like a freaking goddess. So it doesn't matter what color. That's a little poor perspective there on that comment.
Kayla needs to play Burr someday.
Kayla needs to play Burr. I would also just watch her play the whole thing, but I'd be like, how are you going to do that? But I'm going to come watch.
I need to see that.
Amazing.
Okay. So what are some ways in which you can fight for needs for boundaries in a romantic relationship without upsetting your partner? Well, that's even the way that's asked is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Right? What's your thoughts?
I read an article like a month ago. I mean, I was going to say a few weeks ago, but I realized it was probably a month and a half ago because quarantine.
Could have been 5 years ago.
Could have been 50 years ago. Who knows? But it says like the correct way to fight in a relationship. And it was actually kind of upsetting because I don't understand how people, well, I shouldn't make assumptions, but essentially the article said, if you feel like there's something that you need that's not being met, to say, rather than meet it with criticism just as a whole, to say, I love it when you do this. When I'm feeling like this, it'd be really nice. It would be really helpful. It'd make me feel good if you could do blank, or if you could approach it with blank.
Yep.
I don't know, but I feel like I'm very clear with setting boundaries in both romantic and familial and friendship and, professional relationships. I didn't used to be. There's a way to be professional and to be collaborative without being a doormat.
Yes.
The second I feel disrespected, I have to say, was that really an insult? Was that really me being disrespected? And if it was, I say, I didn't appreciate that. Just wanted to let you know, no big deal, but I didn't appreciate that. And a lot of the time, though, I do assume I get quite defensive sometimes, I've been told. So I do sometimes say that or feel like I'm being attacked when I'm just like, actually, no, that's me going there. I'm not being attacked. I'm in control. But I would say just being completely honest and saying, yeah, exactly what I said. But it's I think it was New York Times. It was like the healthy way to fight in a relationship. And it's not like fighting. It's just asking for needs to be met, or even if there is confrontation, sometimes agreeing to disagree is actually a really good way to diffuse a situation that's kind of gotten a little heightened. Yeah,
that's great advice. It just made me think of that scene in, I think it was season 1, even, 6 Feet Under. Did you ever watch 6 Feet Under?
6 Feet Under.
HBO series.
That sounds so familiar. Is it a comedy?
It's first a drama, but it's darkly funny.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, and the mother in one scene, she goes, "I am not defensive."
That's how I feel. That's literally how I feel. Yep. I once got told after having way too much to drink at one of my concerts, fighting with an ex, and they were like, "You are an alcoholic," and I was like, holding a chin. I was like, "I'm not." But I do think that was jacked up. I was like, "I'm definitely not." But yeah, I feel like the healthy way to fight is to not call it fighting and just call it talking it out. And that does, on my part, sometimes admitting that not everyone, you're not going to be perfect at all aspects of listening and being empathetic when you're emotionally triggered and when you're stressed. Because when I get stressed, I tend to raise my voice, and I never want to talk to people I love like that. So I have to check myself and go, like I need to work on certain things when it comes to my communication skills. But we all have things to work on. We do. I mean, it's hard, right? Because you can't be perfectly 100% empathic for another person because you're not that other person. I mean, the same is true for me, for me, and also, of course, as a person, but also professionally. You know, there are times that I misstep empathically with people because I can never be, 100% perfectly what that person needs. Absolutely. None of us can, right? I think also what you were saying about relationships and communication is so important. You were talking about not labeling the behavior and making accusations, but talking about what you need, right? Because that's what you can control. You can say without equivocation what you need and what feels good to you. Absolutely. Right? But if you say, you're a jerk when you don't do this, I'm not saying you. Oh, I know what you mean. Like, but, rather than, I hate that you do this. I hate, you're so bad. You're horrible. Yeah. You're like, I mean, it's kind of like, would you rather have someone point a finger at you or take your hand and go, hey? Yeah. And, you have to ask yourself the hard questions, because sometimes we do, I guess, act as though I don't know, I lost my train of thought. Well, like, went away. Left the station. Self-righteous anger, maybe, like we love feeling like we're right. Absolutely, yeah, that's what it's like. Yeah. I'm upset, which means I'm correct, which means if you don't respond. I mean, we were watching The Bachelorette last night, and some of the conversations and communication skills on that show baffle me and make me so mad. But it's kind of like, yeah, I get that though. If I was upset emotionally and I wanted to hear a certain thing specifically from somebody else and they didn't say that, it would probably make me more upset, or I would still be in that same, rather than being, this is how I feel, let me take that out of me and just hold it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite elementary if you look at it, but it's very helpful for people like me who are extremely emotional and sometimes lose my train of thought and lose like a logical way of thinking when I'm emotional. And I think combining the two when we're having like conflict is extremely important and helpful.
Mm-hmm. That's this concept in DBT called wise mind, that we don't make our best decisions when we only use the emotional part of our mind. We literally have two halves of our brain.
Yeah.
You look at it, right? And so we have emotional processing, we have logical processing. If we only use logical processing, we'd be a robot. If we only used emotional processing, we would be a hot mess. I don't know. But when we use both, we make our best decisions.
That's really cool. I like that imagery a lot. And it's crazy that we only also use like such a small percentage of our brain anyway. But I think that's really helpful for me, like visually, that's going to be really helpful for me in the future to say, like, maybe that's why I sleep on this side, because it's so like I'm using it so much. But that's nice to know. That's a good way.
Yeah.
To it.
And that the part of our brain that's most responsible for emotional processing is the limbic system. Mm-hmm. And when that's overactive, not overactive, but when it's heightened, when you can actually look at a PET scan and see that, that there's all this blood flow going to that part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, where we do all of our like integrated thought and our most advanced thinking, is inactive. All the energy is going to one spot, right? Yeah. So when we're really emotional, that's not the best time to talk, because we can't bring the logic in and be in that wise mind space.
Yeah, I do find that when I'm emotional, I feel like I'm talking like a hamster in a wheel, and it's like I want to shut up, but I can't, and I don't know what I'm saying will make sense.
Mm-hmm.
It is crazy, but that's an awesome way to put it, and to. Next time when I feel like that, it'll be a cool image to like revert back to.
Curly Poo answered me and said about Gullah Geechee. She said Gullah Gullah Island was a TV show. Okay. I had heard of that.
Well, there's lots of TV shows like Gilligan's Island. And
Gilligan's Island, yeah. I don't think that was referring to Gullah Geechee, but there is that. Okay, let's see. Let's take another question. Let's go on. How are you feeling as an empath during these times?
Oh my God. Actually, you know what? I've been really working on with my therapist about not taking everything personally. And it's really helped me distance myself in a really healthy and helpful way. Oh God, you have a circle on your face.
Oh, I have a circle on my face?
Is it me? Oh God. Can you hear me still though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, am I like?
You're just like loading.
Okay.
But I can hear you.
Okay. That may be because my brain doesn't.
You're back.
Okay.
You're back.
Okay. Yay.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people right now are.
I jinxed it by saying that we weren't going to have problems. Any technical problems. I totally jinxed it. I should have known it. Okay. I'm trying to get her back on. Totally my fault. I should have known better. I jinxed it.
You didn't jinx it.
I feel like I totally did. I knew it once those words left my mouth. Sorry, you were saying about being an empath and learning from your therapist.
Yes. Yeah. Not taking everything personally.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to connect to everything. I can be aware of it, but I don't have to connect to it. And I think that's been a helpful distinction, because I just tend to take everything on, and then I like blame myself for feeling horrible. It's like, no, you just didn't you kept the door open for everything. Like, look out the window next time, for God's sake.
Do you feel like being an empath, does it make you a better actor, or does it make acting more challenging?
I don't know, because I don't know what to compare to. I always use the kind of imagery of like an astronaut that gets into a spacesuit, how they're protected when they go out into space. Like, even if the astronaut's like, in the spacesuit, like the spacesuit's going to protect them from the environment. So I always try to approach that with getting into character. It's like, if I'm the actor getting into character, then Eva's protected. And even though sometimes I can't control when like an anxiety or panic attack comes on a stage, which is, I mean, I talk about it, it's not like it happens every show. It's happened like maybe 10 times in Hadestown. It's not a big deal. But I'm still protected because I have Eurydice.
Yeah.
And maybe off stage, maybe another, I guess, visualization to have is, if I'm feeling panicked, I have this comforting thing where I had a dream where I saw like younger Eva, and then I saw like old guardian angel Eva, like older, wiser, the one who has lived many lives. And if I I can look to them for comfort and for solace. So
I love that.
Helpful. Yeah, it was a crazy dream. It's like I was awake and talking to them. I did kind of teach myself how to lucid dream.
Ooh.
It's I've only did it like twice, but it's interesting.
Yeah, dreams are so interesting. I mean, they're really the kind of moving art, symbolic art of our mind. Our minds are really great artists.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah.
I come up with a lot. I've written actually quite a lot of songs in my dreams, like where I can see the words and I can hear the melody, and I'll wake up and remember it, which is really like awesome to me. Like the mind.
That's incredible. We actually do, in terms of like our brain functioning, what we are actually actively processing the day when we go to sleep. That part of why sleep is so important. So that's so interesting that like it then translates experiences into lyrics. Like that's so interesting.
I do like that. Yeah. The brain's so powerful, and it's cool that we have it. It's kind of like we do hold the universe in a way.
Yeah, we do. Isabella Corpus asks a good question up here. When struggling with heightened emotions, such as grief, how do you make sure to be able to care for others as well as yourself?
I'm not going to lie. I've not experienced grief in the form of loss. The only time I've done that is through a messy few months of my life last year. It was probably some of the hardest months of my life last year. And I was grieving losing who the fuck I was. It had been exceptionally obvious, because everyone around me was like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, what's going on with you? And it just took a lot of painful, it was like taking like spikes out of like my body and like letting the poison come out. And I don't know, that's like the closest thing I've ever experienced with grief, is going like, wow, I was really trying to be somebody else for such a long time. And I really like buried alive who I was wanting to be, for the sake of being accepted in my circle at the time. So yeah, that was sad, because I realized like, oh, like that's not at all where I want to be ever again.
Yeah.
And it was a messy situation, but I don't know. I don't really think that was even an answer to the question.
Well, I think you were responding to that first part of like the idea of, dealing with grief. But I think what's interesting, the follow-up question I have is, do you think that 8 shows a week, that pace is prohibitive to connecting with yourself, or challenging? Yes. Okay.
I know this is controversial, because people want to see a show and people want to buy tickets and be entertained, but 8 shows a week is fucking hard. Like, you wake up in the morning and your whole day is dedicated to making sure you have enough energy in the tank to do the show. And then you do a show and you're exhausted and you come home and, you know, people have different routines. I can't turn my brain off until around 3, sometimes 4 o'clock. And, you know, I don't have the time to do the things that I really do want to do. That's why it's been a blessing in disguise to be stuck at home, because I have the time now and I have the energy physically and emotionally to do other things that I would have literally never had time to do. I would have never had time to foster dogs if I was in Hadestown. I would have never had time to like install a pole and swing my ass around it all day. I just would have never had time.
Right.
So I'm grateful for that. And it really makes me go, yeah, if I really look at the happiness level, like, I mean, forget about income. If I really think about the work and the time from now and doing 8 shows a week, I mean, I would definitely like choose to not do 8 shows a week.
Yeah.
Sorry about it. Like, don't knock it till you try it, you know?
It's an Olympian task. It really is.
It really is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. People, I mean, athletes work with their body and they have to be like elites, like elitists in like how they take care of themselves. And with singers, it's the same thing. Like, we're working with 2 little things in here and that's it. And then the body's the vessel. So you have to make sure that the second you wake up, it's like, it's disgusting. It's like neti pops, like all the phlegm coming out and all this water and peeing 50 times a day. And that's just becomes your new normal. And you know what? As fun as it is and as rewarding as it is to like work hard, it's also priceless to have time to live your life as you want to live it, not on a week schedule.
Yeah.
Saying.
No.
Sure.
Well, maybe you do differently in the future because, you know, it seems like it's a hard thing to maintain. I think about that not just because I go to bed, you know, early or whatever, but like I think about that sometimes, you know, at night, and I'm like, whoa, like if I was an actor, you know, in theater, I'd be just like I'd be just gearing up for Act 2, and like, you know, I am done.
Yeah, I'm done.
Like I think about people who actually work hard, you know, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's incredible.
I sometimes remember feeling like that in Hadestown, just like Act 2, and like I'm too lazy to put my acting costume on, and my dress is like, come on, like Patty's like, come on, we gotta do it, honey, we gotta do it. And I was looking at her like, I was like, I could cry, but there's nothing left. But I have to go up there and do the hardest part of the show.
It is really Herculean, and I don't wonder if, you know, if the toll that takes is, you know, is problematic. I don't know the answer to that, you know, but somebody had pointed out in one of these conversations that you know, shows will take care of their actors' physical bodies, you know, with PT, but not their you know, their emotional health. So take care of the physical health, not the emotional health, you know,
well,
like
also,
where's the PT for the brain?
Also, shows don't really fully take care. I mean, there's a very, very few allotted slots that you can sign up for, and it's first come, first serve. If you're in pain, if 2 people have already signed up for PT slots that week, you got to wait till next week, or you got to pay out of your own pocket to go see somebody if it's bad.
So not even. Okay.
Yeah, and I found that I don't even know if paying a therapist is like a tax write-off.
It should be.
It should be. It's like, you know, our jobs are subjective. We're meant to go on stage and like you said before, achieve this ridiculously set expectation of perfection every night.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of work, but I miss the family feel of being in the theater, and I miss the freaking paycheck, but I don't really miss doing 8 shows a week at all. In fact, I don't think about it.
See, but I love that you're saying that, because I think that there's also this ethic that's been misguided, maybe in the Broadway community, that like 8 shows a week, and like you love it, and you always show up, even if you're sick. Like you go on, you know, and like it's
even
so anti-self, right? Isn't that the message?
I was going on with pre-nodules, and I couldn't even sing simple songs in the show. I couldn't even wake up the first thing in the morning, wake up, have some water. I couldn't even phonate. And I was expected to be at work. Like, unless I went to work holding my severed arm, I think they would have been like that. And then finally I was like, you know what? No, enough is enough. I'm taking 2 weeks off, because my voice is more important than this one job. And that was hard. That took almost a year for me to say.
Wow.
So it's just a lot. There's a lot of expectations on actors. And you know what? You ask them at any time, how are you doing? Yeah, tired. Of course, we all are. But I'm grateful that the community is so, together. We all know that. It's grateful to know. I'm grateful to know I'm not the only one who feels like that.
Right.
Totally.
I have a question that I've just always been curious. Not always, since Hadestown has been in existence, or since I've seen you in it. This moment that as a psychologist, I found profoundly intriguing, and I don't know if it's how you play her or direction, but it's early in the show, and you're playing with the fire with your fingers, and talk about Eurydice talks about herself as seeking to feel, whereas Orpheus feels so much, he can take, he has to sing, and she's just she wants to feel so much. Is that is that part of that character for you? Is
totally.
Yeah.
It's cool that you picked that up. I tried to do little subtle things in the show that kind of, because I feel the smallest things reflect the biggest parts of ourselves. But the playing with fire also is kind of it sets it up for the rest of the show. She decides to go down to Hadestown. So
literally
fire. Yeah. So she's literally playing with fire. But I tried to give her tics that made her feel like she was also marking her territory. She had a bit of control with her sack of crap. And it was really, my backpack was literally full of fabric, and that was it. There was nothing in my backpack. Even though I was I want to put fun stuff in there, and they were we can't because it'll fall out on stage. And then but yeah, it's cool that you saw that, because that was what I was trying to go for.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It kind of zoomed in, oh, she's playing with fire. I see you.
The tiny little thing.
Yep. Oh, I love those details. All right, let me pick another question here. Come on, Thumb. Ooh. Being a teen, any tips on how to not feel second best?
Oh. Repetition. Keep telling yourself that you're not anything but first.
Yeah.
And if that's not enough, if I woke up in the morning and or even just stood up right now, my body is the center of my life. When the second my feet touch the ground, or even if I'm sitting like this, it's if you drop a stone in a body of water, that ripple effect, the thing that creates that momentum is you. Mm-hmm. So Tracy McMillan says this perfectly. She's there's many things I can't control, but the most I can control is this.
Yep.
And that's everything. So if that's the case, then you're only ever first, and you're only ever the constant.
Yep. And that do you find that as an actor, and what that pre-COVID world, with auditioning, that is it helpful to have that mindset that you're not going in there to be anybody but yourself?
Totally. Oh my God. I know that everyone talks about it, but still auditions are they're horrifying and they're horrible. And I always tell students, if they're under 21, go get a cookie. And then if you're not, go get a glass of champagne, because you deserve it. I always say your only job at the audition is to make sure that you have your stuff ready, drop it your best in the room, and leave. Mm-hmm. Because honestly, it's if they say no, their rejection is just redirection for something better. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Even if you had everything set on it. And I will also say, with auditions, it's smart to not put all your eggs in one basket. Mm. Because who carries eggs in a basket anymore? It's ridiculous.
Yeah. You're going to drop them. It's so old school. How do I help a friend who has anorexia?
Be there for them and listen. I would say the one thing that turns me off when it comes to people in my life telling me what to do is when they try to act like a therapist to me. Well, I read online that you should, it's not good for your body. They know that. They're not silly. But they do it because of something in their brain that's telling them otherwise. So unless you're I don't know, you have superpowers, you can go in there and figure out what it is. Just being there for them is so much. I know that helps me. Sometimes I can't even describe to the people I love why I'm feeling down. But I say, all I need you to do is be there for me. And that is everything. To have that support and to know that okay, I am bigger than the problem.
Yeah.
And I think that people who struggle with anorexia and bulimia, like, all we kind of need is somebody who says, I don't understand. I'll anything you send me, I'll do my best to read and to understand, but I'm not going to ever understand truly. However, I will not stop being by your side.
Yeah.
With whatever you need. That goes a long way.
That's so true. If you have a friend who is struggling with any mental health issue, just being present and not trying to fix it, because you can't fix it, right? But being present is so powerful.
And also learning their love language as well. I found that, like, not everyone's love language is met with the same response. So I love acts of service. And I love, I think that's for doing that to other people. But I also know the way that my friends and I speak to each other. And for example, my best friend in Australia, if he knows that I'm having a tough time, he'll call me and be like, first off, I hate you. Second off, how are you doing? Like, he knows how we speak to each other, and we are very clear on each other's love languages. And I think that's also important to do. Sometimes you have to ask too. Like, I can't always guess. Like, I say, what do you need?
Right.
How would you like me to approach this situation?
Yep. That direct communication is so powerful. Let's see. There was a good question, and then I can't find it. Well, this is a good one. Advice for anxiety after an audition and for coping with rejection.
Oh, like I said, rejection. I know somebody said this, and I wish I knew who said this, but if you look it up, it'll probably come up on Google. But rejection is the universe's redirection to something better. And, like, if they say no, then you don't want to work with them. They can't if they say no, I would also say don't take it personally, because when we're so hypercritical of ourselves, someone could say, like, oh, those jeans are nice on you, Eva. And if I'm so used to criticizing myself and saying crap about myself, I can immediately latch one of my insecurities onto that comment and go, see, you're saying that because I'm right. That negative thought's correct. And you said it. They're like, I literally just said your jeans are nice. No, I know what you're trying to say. Because I've heard this before. And it's like, actually, no, you told yourself that before. But I would say auditions suck.
Oh, no. Do we have another freeze?
Oh, we do?
Oh, okay. Back up. That was a good freeze.
Thank you.
By the way, there's a whole conversation going on in this thread in Dutch, and I just love it and don't understand a word of it, and I think it's fantastic.
I love Amsterdam.
Woo! You visited there?
Been twice. It's one of my favorite cities in the world.
Oh, sounds amazing. I've heard amazing things about it.
The best.
Okay. What would you say is the best way to work with negative energy from others?
I mean, if you want to work with it, you can let it into your space. If not, I've learned, honestly, the more I cast spells of, like, love for that person, it just kind of, like, and I just anoint them and I go, I love you, even though you piss me off.
Yeah.
And I don't have to have you be a best friend. I don't have to have you get in my circle. Because honestly, your actions prove that you don't deserve to be in the circle. And it's not that I'm higher than you or better than you. It's just I'm over here and you're over there. And even if we have to work together, sometimes it's like, okay, then put on that mask. Sometimes I've been doing this thing where it's like telling myself, okay, if I'm frustrated, I'm going to let kindness speak. I'm going to let logic take this one.
Yeah. Here you go, logic.
Yeah. Or honestly, I've had an experience in the workplace where I had to confront somebody who, every once in a while they do something and I'm like, and I don't like it. I don't like confrontation. Yeah. So I was like shaking, but I was like, this was important because you know that you did something that made me feel disrespected. And I know, well, I didn't get much of a response, but I told you. So I'm dropping it. I'm leaving it. Next chapter. It's not nice to work with negative people, but you don't have to let them into your space.
Boundaries. Boundaries.
Rose tinted glasses.
Oh, yeah. First of all, so a couple of the people from the Netherlands were saying sorry. No, I meant it. I wasn't being sarcastic. Like, I love that this is happening. I love that connections are being made and there's a whole conversation going on at multiple levels. I wasn't being sarcastic.
My best friend is from the Netherlands, so it's nice.
Oh, nice. They love you there. And then I also want to say that, what you're talking about there, like, the idea of boundaries, and that when somebody comes at you with negative energy, I mean, it's Michelle Obama, right? Like, when they go low, we go high, and she broke that down last night. Does not mean that you let people walk all over you. It means that you have clarity about where your boundaries are, and you enforce those boundaries. You keep those boundaries for yourself. And so if someone's coming at you with negative energy, you can have a boundary of it. And sometimes that means talking to them directly, and sometimes it just means in your head, you say, they are over there, like you just said, and I am over here. Right?
Absolutely.
Because that's just going to cost you. If you stew about it or try to fix it, if it's not fixable, then that's just going to expend your energy.
Absolutely. I do find it takes it, rather than kill them with kindness, I'd rather say kill it with kindness, and it
the
being,
negativity.
being, they're like that for a reason. And you obviously don't want any human to suffer. So I'm going to send it not to the person, but to whatever they're dealing with. I hope that gets fixed.
Yep.
Because no one deserves to be, harassed by their demons,
Right.
So whenever they say kill it with kindness, they go, kill it with kindness. When I say, how are you doing? You doing okay? Great. And a little tap on the shoulder. Maybe I'm not going in deep conversation, but me looking in your eye. Hopefully that's going straight to the source, and it's going to be overridden with good stuff rather than the bad. So
I think about like being on the driving, and like somebody being mad and like giving me the finger. And I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, and then first I'm like hurt, and then I'm angry, and then I take a breath and I think they must be having a really bad day. Like, I don't even mean making excuses. Like, if they're that upset about like driving, then like they are in a whole negative space, and then I'm able to kill it with kindness and just like literally visualize sending positivity their way, because that's a shit way to feel.
That is a shit way to feel.
Yeah.
Also, like, it always makes you nervous. It's like, can you just put both your hands on the wheel? Please.
I know, right? You got one hand flicking me off.
Like, okay, thank you.
This was so wonderful to talk to you again.
You too.
Yeah, I love your openness and your your insight into that you have from your lived experience and the work that you've done within yourself, and then able to bring that and talk about these about mental health and how that impacts you as a human and as an actor. I thank you so much for bringing all that.
Thank you so much for opening up to actors as well. Like, it's nice to have people who genuinely care, and I always feel supported when I see your face or talk to you. So I really, really appreciate you taking the time as well to talk to me. That's
my pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks so much, and thanks to everybody who was here. And
thanks everyone.
Love seeing that thread going. That was awesome. And thanks for the questions. Everybody, take care of yourself. I think if there's any theme here, self-care, right?
Absolutely.
Thanks, Eve.